Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best 15 brawlers in Brawl Stars right now. So the update just dropped a couple of hours ago, so a lot of these are going to be mainly predictions, but also just my first initial thoughts as well, through playing a little bit of ranked, playing ladder, and just getting a feel of a lot of these changes. So I think first and foremost I've got to say is that the top of the meta hasn't changed entirely too much, because a lot of the nerfs wasn't really like big enough nerfs to, you know, for example, like brawlers like Crow and Sirius wasn't nerfed, and even like Naja got a hypercharge. So yeah, a lot of the meta has stayed the same, but there are a few differences. So starting off then, so from number 15 all the way up to number 6, I'm just gonna throw out some brawlers because I'm not too sure on the ordering just yet. So first off, we have Edgar. Okay, so Edgar, I feel like he will be near the bottom. I think he might be like an A-tier brawler, but at the same time, I don't know, the more that I play him, the more that I'm feeling that he's got these pop-off moments. Again, he's going to be another brawler where anywhere below Masters, he's just going to rip through everything, because he's got those buffies, and his hypercharge buffy is probably the best one out of them all, because you think about his hypercharge buffy, extended range, which is cool, but that's not the biggest thing about it. It's the fact that he gets more additional punches with every ammo as well. Yes, it deals less damage, but that's going to allow him to cycle through his super quicker, cycle through his hypercharge quicker, and cycle through, well, yeah, cycle through the next super, so then he can get another hypercharge super, and then with his hypercharge super, he gets additional reload speed, so he's just ramping up the damage like crazy. An additional 2 seconds as well with his hypercharge, with the hypercharge buffy. That is the main reasons why he's going to be pretty strong. Hard landing seems pretty good as well after testing it out. Let's fly seems pretty good. Hardcore against the tough matchups as well. I think he's got to be borderline S tier. I'm a little bit apprehensive in, you know, calling out him being S tier straight away, but he feels really strong. Next brawler in the top 15 has to be Griff. So Griff is a little bit of a weird one. So to begin with, you've got to realize that with Griff, he has a reload speed nerf because they removed the reload gear. So you've got to bear that in mind. So his main attack is actually getting even worse when you think about it, because he's got such a slow main attack. And then you've also got to consider as well, with the keep the change star power, it takes longer for him to unload his shot because he has an extra wave of coins, and you only get value when you save all 3 pieces of your ammo up with the buffy. So yeah, there's a little bit of testing out with Griff, but I still think with Griff, he's got to be easily near the S tier or S tier guaranteed, especially when you're playing Brawl Ball. But in particular, I think Draft might just be crazy because of his piggy bank gadget. I've literally called this in my sneak peeks. It's insane, guys. It's literally the strength of 2 piggy banks in one, and you can throw it. It's insane. You can break open the map so easily. I think this meta might actually turn into a control meta if Griff is as good as he is, because literally through the gadget button, it's going to open up the entire map, and, you know, tanks are really going to suffer. This feels like a really, really big anti-tank meta. I don't know whether any of them are going to be holding on. The next brawler on the list has to be Colette. So the 3 new buffy brawlers. Wow, shock, who would have thought? I think it's very safe to assume that these 3 brawlers will be at the top of the meta, mainly because a lot of other brawlers haven't got their buffy yet, but Colette, I think, will be the strongest out of the 3. Well, yeah, we'll see. I think Colette does, first and foremost, I think just feel incredibly strong, because there's a lot of great things about her. Her new Naa gadget can actually have a really good use case, especially wasting enemy supers, etc. Could actually, like, she could be like a tank counter then. When she's not against tank counters in draft, in rank, for example, you can just switch over to gadget. And yeah, that gadget seems really, really powerful. But the best gadget is still going to be the healing one overall. It's just so, like, useful, especially with Colette. And then you've got both of the star powers. Yeah, push it will be very strong versus tanks, but I still think just straight up getting a percentage shield just when you fly out and use your super is actually a really good buff to mass attacks. And then you've got the hypercharge. So currently it is a bit bugged, so you could actually say that Colette might be one of the best brawlers in the game, like easily right now, and easily in the top 5. But once they hopefully fix that, then it should be a lot worse. But currently the hypercharge shadow just deals a ton of damage, so clearly that's a bug, and that should be something they emergency fix. But still, I think her hyper buffy is pretty strong. I think everything about Colette is very, very powerful. Also, the fact that she steals ammo from assassins and tanks when she uses mass attacks, yeah, I think she's going to be very, very powerful. Bull is next in the top 15, so I think Bull is near the bottom of the top 15. You know, in comparison to Colette, I think she's like borderline top 5. Bull, I think, will start to suffer a lot more in this meta as people start to use a lot more Griff to open up the map, start using Colette, start using all of these tank counters in the meta. You know, you've got Chester, you've got Lumi, etc. You've got all of these brawlers that can deal with a Bull. But his saving grace is that they didn't somehow nerf his healing gadget, and his hyper charge is still really, really strong. It's still pretty fast charging, and you can still get team wipes with it. So yeah, Bull will be one of the only few tanks in this meta. The next brawler on the list has to be Mortis. So Mortis is still a top 15 brawler easily. Right now, I think there's a little bug with assassins and just brawlers that can dash. It feels like they're stuck in slow motion. So maybe like at this point in time, he's not a top 15 brawler in the game, actually pretty bad. But, you know, once these bugs are fixed, he'll still be a top 15 brawler in the meta easily because they didn't really nerf Mortis. They just kind of slapped him on the wrist because his strength really relies off his gadgets. He can just 2-dash and gadget so many brawlers inside of a game. He can just use his first dash just to literally approach them and then snipe them, which is insane. His cold snake star power is still really good. You see all the pros just abusing Mortis so much because he's still so powerful. So up on the top 15, we have Ems. So Ems is still really good inside of the game right now. I think as more brawlers get buffies, etc., she will just naturally go down and down, and maybe she might be outside of the top 15 with a lot of these meta changes, mainly again because of Griff. Ems doesn't like it when the map's opened up, so again, this could be a brawler that drops outside of the top 15, but for now, I still think Ems is pretty powerful. She's still one of the greatest tank counters inside of the meta. She's still got really cheesy gadgets, especially acid spray, being able to shoot it through a wall and slow them. Really, really strong. So yeah, Ems is still really powerful, but let's just wait how she settles in the meta in a couple of days. This brawler definitely in the top 15 has to be Chester, so another brawler which they didn't seem to nerf in the last set of balance changes. So with Chester, the reason why he's so strong is because he received quite a few buffs with some balance changes a couple of months ago, but it's mainly the supercharge rate that got buffed. It went from 7 to 6 hits, which just makes it he can just fly through supers easily. He has an abundance of health. His hype charge is still pretty broken, and he's just a super cheesy brawler. You can never really go wrong with Chester inside of the draft, and he's still going to be meta. This brawler in the top 15 has to be Otis. So Otis, there's so many tank counters that I've just read off, I've just realized, but Otis is still going to be at the top 15, or on the cusp of top 15 easily. That's just because Otis just deals a ton of damage. He's got good range, he's got an annoying gadget, he's good on bushing maps, and when you're looking for a brawler that just really shuts down, you know, think of Heist on defense, he can shut down anything. On his own, he can just run through a lot of different brawlers. One of the best counters to like a BB, like a Bull, for example. So yeah, Otis is still really good. Still in the top 15, I went with Meeple. So Meeple was improving in the meta as it went on. In the previous one, I was just playing a lot more Meeple, and I think the pros were starting to play a lot more Meeple as well. That's because Meeple is still super versatile. Meeple still has 2 broken gadgets when you think about it, especially the box gadget can be really, really strong. It's still like Meeple's just so cheesy when you think about it. Like you can just easily overwhelm your matchups with both gadgets. His hype charge is still really easy to charge up and can completely turn the tide of a game, and it's hardly anything that like directly counters Meeple. Yes, he can break open the map, but then he can, you know, he can counter his weaknesses pretty easily with his kit overall. So yeah, Meeple's easily an 8A brawler at least. Lastly, before we jump into the top 5, we have Lumi. So Lumi feels really powerful, and I think she could be near the top 10 in the meta, definitely. But I'm a little bit hesitant because I was a little bit wrong on Lumi last time when she received the buff, but that's because I didn't interpret the data properly. I thought they buffed her way more than they actually did. Anyways, she has now received a really, really, really strong buff. So her projectile speed is now faster than it's ever been, which is just insane. The amount of damage that you can rack up is insane. She's still got a broken gadget with her ice gadget. She still deals a lot of damage, and she got a health buff as well. I think actually the main problem was her lack of health because she was pretty squishy. You know, people could just get on top of her pretty quickly and kill her, but now she's got a lot more health. She's nearly 8k health with her shield gear, so yeah, I easily anticipate Lumi being a top meta brawler now. So just before we go into top 5, we've got a few honorable mentions. We've got the likes of Angelo, Ruffs, Byron, Ali, Penny. We've got a few brawlers like this. Spike can still be in and around. But yeah, let's move on to the top 5, starting off with Pierce. So Pierce is still easily a top 5 brawler inside of the game right now. If anything, he could actually be getting better. He did receive a super charge rate nerf. Super damage nerf, sorry, which does help a little bit, but his hype charge is still really easy to charge up. They still didn't really change too much with his last shot mechanic, where you can just easily just spam out slow shots, which actually have a bigger projectile. They deal so much damage. Yeah, just still feels too powerful when you got to think as well. the meta is just going to be favoring Pierce even more, because you've got brawlers like Griff in the top of the meta who can just open up the entire map. You're going to be so many, like you already saw in monthly finals, people using Colt just literally to open up the map for Pierce to do well. Well, the same's going to happen with Griff. So yeah, Pierce, if anything's, getting stronger. Moving into the 4th best brawler in the meta right now, we have Sirius. So Sirius is very unserious right now. He is so incredibly strong. Again, another brawler that didn't receive any nerfs, even though with the monthly finals, he was, across all four regions, he was the most global banned brawler, just showing his strength. And just, it's really hard to counter a Sirius. Yes, there are a few ways you can counter him, of course. Getting on top of him in the right moment, you can take him down, and that removes all of his clones. Yes, that's great, but, you know, he's got the slow gadget. There's just so many brawlers that he can just deal with so incredibly well. Maybe if the meta is very, very control-based, it might, you know, put Sirius down a little bit, but it's still Sirius at the end of the day. He's so versatile as a thrower. The main reason as well is he just destroys tanks. He can just farm off them so easily, and then his clones can then just destroy their control brawlers. So think of it kind of like how Mr. P was in his prime, where he'll just farm off the tanks, and then his porters would just destroy, you know, the snipers, etc. It's the same with Sirius as well. So yeah, he's still incredibly strong. So now moving into the 3rd best brawler in the game right now, we have Crow. So another brawler that didn't receive enough, even though, in my opinion, he's just the most versatile brawler in the game. And he's just so annoying. There's hardly any direct counters to a Crow. Again, he might be slightly nerfed in terms of the overall meta, because you think of Leon. Leon used to be one of the best brawlers in the game. Since his bug fix, I don't think he'll be top 15 anymore. But Crow used to be the best counter to him, but I still think Crow would be really, really easy to play. He's still pretty tanky for such a squishy, once was squishy brawler. He actually is pretty tanky now. His gadgets are just pretty annoying, and it's just his overall damage output. His hypercharge is very, very strong as well. And again, he's super versatile. You can pretty much use him everywhere. So now moving into the 2nd best brawler in the game right now, I went with Nagia. So Nagia, again, really didn't receive any big nerfs. In my opinion, she's the one reason why I'm not really playing too much ladder, or just I really try and avoid it, because at least in ranked I can ban Nagia and actually have a lot more fun. But that's the biggest problem. Like, prestiges have been pretty good, right? But it's just having to face a lot of obnoxious brawlers inside of a meta, and literally Nagia is one of them. So yeah, Nagia received a big nerf where you can't no longer like just throw out your main attack and then it automatically follow people inside of bushes. Yes, that was a pretty nice nerf. And yes, the snake health nerf was actually pretty nice with the super. But they really didn't address the main problems with Nagia. She still deals way too much damage. You can still auto-aim her attack way too easily. Her super, you can still just throw onto people, and just if you throw it on top of them, damage is still going to get dealt to them. So yeah, it deals an insane amount of damage. Her gadget is very broken because it just poisons them for so long. So like, even if you run away from the poison puddles, you still, it's just so annoying. I don't know why that hasn't been fixed. And then on top of that, you've just got the most abhorrent hypercharge probably in the game right now. It looks and feels disgusting. I played like 2 games with it, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, there is a tiny bit of counterplay if you have a brawler that can pierce through them, but still at the same time, if you just throw it on the brawler that can pierce, you will just kill them immediately, and there's just no counterplay to it, really. So yeah, there's a lot of disgusting things about Nagia in this meta. She feels pretty uncounterable. I mean, there are a few ways to counter her, just like, you know, like a BB with any brawler with a bit of speed, and an assassin, of course, can counter her because she's a sniper. But even those brawlers, as time goes on, as she builds up her super, just really struggle to counter her. So yeah, I don't know, she's just so strong. So now moving into the best brawler in the game, right? Well, it's not even right now. I anticipate it in a couple of days' time. Damien will be released, and I think he'll be by far the best brawler inside of the game. So at first, when I did my sneak peeks, I was like, okay, I think Damien will be probably like 1 or top 2 inside of the meta. But after testing him out a little bit more, he's going to be absolutely dumb broken. If he doesn't receive any nerfs before that, they might go, you know, especially if they make it like an emergency maintenance, they might hopefully nerf him a little bit, but he's just completely broken, and that is for a few reasons. So first reason is his chain reaction with his attack. If you chain 3 shots, you then push the brawler back, and then you set them on fire, then they explode, and then that can chain react onto pretty much anything. It can react onto boxes and showdown, or just literally anything, enemies in particular, you know, spawnables as well. That's really strong. You've got his super, which is just like a better El Primo. You just jump it into like chaos, and if you use the second star power, I think it is, you get a free knockback when you land, so you can just land on them, you know, you deal some damage, they're thrown in the air, but then they're thrown into the air as well again. They're just knocked about like crazy, and it's just a chain damage. It's just absolutely broken with Damien. His gadgets as well seem really strong. The wall gadget seems insanely strong, especially with the first star power. I know it's way too much versatility for a tank, and again, even in a very anti-tank meta when you think about it, there's a lot of like, you think of the top meta brawlers, they can probably, you know, deal with Damien pretty well, and it's a good job. But the majority of the top 15 list are tank counters, so maybe he won't be as broken as in other metas, but I'm scared. I'm very scared for his release, and yeah, I mean, he's just gonna wreak havoc on everyone. So that's gonna be it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know whether I missed out on any in the comment section, and I'll see you guys next time.